Released on November 13th, 2020 on PlayStation, and November 3rd, 2021 for basically everybody else, Onslaught was yet another game mode in Cold War's very large roster. This mode finds up to 2 players combating the Dark Ether across the plentiful locales found in Cold War's multiplayer. With that, let's load up, find out what's hiding inside of that orb, and get into Onslaught. While originally I was not going to include a recap/catch-up part in this review, as to let the entire video focus on Onslaught itself, so much has happened since I started this project that I just have to mention it all. First, from where we left off from Cold War's content cycle, Season 6. The Hammer and Sickle melee weapon found its way into the game in the November 3rd update, along with the Rampage Inducer finally being pushed around 55 for those who wanted that, on top of 100%er calling cards for those who go above and beyond, like myself. Following that, as we know, Treyarch is helping to work on van-goated zombies, but in March of 2022, Treyarch came out and confirmed that they are continuing support for Cold War throughout the year. Nothing too big, but still more content. This started with the addition of the Vargo 52 assault rifle in the March 4th update, and would lead to the biggest update to the game thus far in 2022. The one that added the fabled super Easter egg to Cold War zombies. This requires players to have completed all 4 round-based main quests and both Outbreak quests. Once that is done, players can go to Zoo in Outbreak and find the altar to complete the pact. Depending on how many Easter eggs you've done, you will get a better reward. Provided you have done them all, you receive 12 emblems of the radio speakers in Cold War Zombies, a purple rarity starting weapon, and a Dark Ops calling card. This completely changed the Cold War meta and is honestly a pretty solid reward. This update also featured the UGR SMG as the latest weapon in Cold War's ever-expanding arsenal. And with that, we can jump into Onslaught. Alright, with that out of the way, we can dig into what I like about Onslaught. So first off, its mechanics. Stripping away the normal setup of zombies, Onslaught throws the player, and a buddy if you actually have friends, into one of the many empty maps in Cold War. Once you load in, you find yourself next to a Dark Ether orb, which you must charge by getting kills in the bubbles surrounding it. Leaving this bubble, you will find yourself in the phase, meaning the usual damage ticks as expected. As the game progresses, it takes more and more zombies to charge the orb. Eventually, it becomes a 1-to-1 ratio, so it takes 100 zombies to fill the orb to move. On every 3rd surge, an elite enemy will pop out from the Dark Ether. This pool is limited to the Megaton from D Machina, and the HVT variants of the Mangler and Mimic from Funny Base Z. Upon killing one of these HVTs, they drop a plethora of loot, including weapons of increasing rarity as the game goes on, as well as chalices to upgrade your weapon Pack-a-Punch tier, Aether tools to upgrade its rarity, support streaks like the combat bow or hand cannon, as well as a random perk. The game continues on this loop until you end the game yourself, or you die as a result of the ever-increasing hordes. Now, onto what I really enjoy about this. First, the selection of maps. There is currently a total of 18 maps in standard rotation, all varying from CW's launch maps to the ones introduced later in the game's lifecycle like the Pines or Echelon. While each game plays somewhat similar, with the addition of the Applied Blueprint feature, this allows for players to use whatever they like and not be forced into using a gun with shitty attachments. Thankfully, Onslaught favors mobility, so using attachments like the Bruiser Grip or the SWAT 5mW laser is actually advised over the standard Field Agent Grip or Ember Sighting Point. One thing I haven't touched on is the equally fun and incredibly high-octane Onslaught containment. Taking the similar concept of Onslaught, this takes place on the gunfight maps of ICBM, U-Bahn, Nuketown 84, KGB, and Game Show. Instead of the orb moving, it is stagnant in this mode, and has a red appearance as opposed to the standard Dark Ether purple. This game mode gives more room for field upgrades like Frost Blast and Toxic Growth to take hold, as the maps are extremely tight, and you have to adopt the run-and-gun aggressive playstyle that I absolutely love. Unfortunately, I can't comment on any of the other LTMs as they weren't added to Cold War upon the release of Onslaught, which is what I would have said if the April content update did not come out and add in Onslaught mystery munitions to the game. Now, I'm going to diverge from the originally written script here and add in that mystery munitions is a ton of fun. While it still shares the moving orb of normal Onslaught, there is no loadouts. Instead, the game opts to give players a random weapon on every surge, which can range from the melee weapons to the LMGs and etc. What makes me love this so much is it is essentially gun game, which is based off of custom zombies would be absolutely fantastic as an official game mode, but I'll take this as an alternative. It's hectic not knowing exactly what you're going to get, and that's what makes me love it the most. Back to the main bit of this review, I really love the idea of playing on multiplayer maps. For years I've been saying that multiplayer maps would make perfect locales for zombies maps to take place, and it finally came to fruition. And just like the other maps in this game, Onslaught has its own intel. There is 3 documents per map, and actually serve to help build the world of the Dark Ether even further. Like Satellite's intel features a satellite image on the plane wing of Die Maschine, or the Rush intel, where Weaver detests the director's approach to teens that survived an outbreak at a paintball course. All of this serves as fantastic world building, and while not necessary to understand the main events of the story, is fantastic as a bonus. With that, we can jump into the things that don't really work for me after the break. Okay, let's start with a genuine complaint, and that is with some of the map sizes chosen, as well as the downtime between surges. While most of the maps in Onslaught are the small 3-lane maps that Call of Duty is known for by now, there are some choices like Crossroads that make me scratch my head. With the orb moving across the entire map, it takes a while for the orb to settle, and while in some cases it will move 5 feet and stop, more likely than not you will find yourself walking for over a minute, which kills the pacing of the mode, in my eyes. What is weird is that the map that I mentioned, Crossroads, features a strike variant in Cold War's multiplayer, which would fit this game mode so much better. Overall, the issue of pacing persists in standard Onslaught, but with the orb and containment being stationary, that solves my issue there. Now, we begin to look more at the mechanical side of things, in the general randomness this mode provides. While I don't mind being surprised with the HVT, as it always keeps me on my toes, the drops in which they provide being random is where I find my problem. There's times where you are trying to stick to your starter weapon and the boss will just not drop you an ether tool to upgrade its rarity. However, I do want to note that this can now be circumvented by the addition of the purple rarity starting weapon from the Super Easter egg. The same goes for chalices though. Sure, you can get your rarity up, but as their health starts increasing, the need for Pack-a-Punch becomes dire. And this is especially prevalent in the random perk drop. There are 2 ways your Onslaught match can go. You get Juggernog first and everything's vibing from there. Or you find yourself on Surge 9 with every perk but Jug, and there is honestly no in between. This can absolutely ruin a game, and this sort of snowballs into my next point. Due to how Cold War works with its downing system and how you lose perks, going down on high surges can be an absolute run killer depending on the order you got your perks, and what you use to revive yourself. And with those general complaints out of the way, we can dig into my nitpicky things. Starting with a glitch that I have heard has persisted since launch, the invisible zombie bug. From what I understand, this is currently caused by killing zombies with just explosions in general, and while I'm not quite sure what caused it, previously, this is what I've experienced. What sucks is, like I mentioned, this is a launch issue. There is a workaround by using Frenzied Guard so you can actually kill the zombie when he hits you, but that shouldn't be the end-all be-all. And after that is the documents on these maps. While I love the intel, you can only earn 1 a match. But since there's a certain threshold that must be met to spawn an elite enemy, it takes a while to collect all the documents across each map. And the final thing is the case of tracer weapons with locked AATs. These provide an advantage to players who have them as they get a damage boost in a mode where AATs are hard to come by. And of course, while I am one of those people who benefit from the tracer weapons, I do find it a little unfair that players who don't indulge in these packs can find the game mode a tad bit harder to play at times. And with that, we can wrap this video up. With all of that, we are done looking at Onslaught and also Cold War Zombies. I absolutely love this mode and am super glad it finally made its way to Xbox and PC. As for what's next, I'm not entirely sure. So with the release of this video, I will have a poll on my Twitter, link in the description, for you guys to help me decide what to work on next. My main ideas are the Duran Fong / Terra Maledicta review, or my video ranking every bundle in Cold War, for those looking on what to pick up in the COD store. Whatever wins will be the subject of my video that releases in July, with the second place coming out in my birthday month of August. And with that, we're completely done. I'll see you all in July, thank you for watching, and have a great day.
It's Nightlucs. He on the stream right now?
Yeah, he's in the chat. He said
Yo,
your game
Night,
is
you're a
loud.
bitch.
12 seconds later.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Alright, listen here, you dumbass. You're not gonna call me a bitch on fucking stream. You ugly, fat ass, looking ass, fucking Dr. Texan, your name's Dr. Texan. You're the biggest motherfucking loser in the whole place.